People in the know think Tesla's ChatGPT moment was the release of their full self-driving software, but I contend nothing could be further from the truth. And when the ChatGPT moment happens, it may come in China first, and this all has big consequences. Let's take a look. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All, so I'm going to dial the clock back a couple of years to November 30th of 2022 when ChatGPT came out. I remember this because it was around Thanksgiving. I also remember it was just about a year before OpenAI just about imploded with Sam Altman's firing, rehiring, all that stuff. So stay tuned late this November and there should be fireworks from OpenAI because it seems like every year something happens, either positive or negative, so we'll find out. But anyway, November 30th of 2022 is what everyone now calls the ChatGPT moment. It's the moment when OpenAI released ChatGPT and the world just went crazy and they got to 100 million users like in record time and no one else had ever done anything like that before. So it was a huge moment. But here's the thing, generative pre-trained transformers had been around for about 5 years before that. The famous paper Attention is All You Know from Google DeepMind was released in 2017, so it was just about 5 years between these two. And people had developed GPT's generative pre-trained transformers and OpenAI had as well, and they had something called OpenAI Playground. And there were various versions of GPT-2 and stuff that had been online for months, if not years, prior to the release of ChatGPT. So what specifically happened was they redid the interface, they made it more conversational, and it just clicked with the audience. It was something that made sense to the audience. So this actually relates. Helen Toner recently has been making comments about why they tried to fire Sam Altman, and the big anecdote she uses is that she found out about ChatGPT on Twitter, but that is not unreasonable at all because OpenAI did not know what they had. They had released several versions of GPT before ChatGPT, and people had looked at it and they were like, yeah, that's cool. And people in the know, I remember looking at it and going like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But I didn't think all that much of it until after ChatGPT came out. And for whatever reason, the interface just worked. It was just above the bar of being good enough that people were like, wow, this is amazing. Elon Musk commented on it and said it was scary good. So there was just kind of a snowball effect of people recognizing that AI had made it to a certain level. But here's the thing, it wasn't some gigantic step change. It was just little incremental changes until suddenly everyone in the public went, oh my gosh, and became aware of it. So that was the GPT moment. It wasn't a step change in the software. It was a step change in human consciousness. And if we now turn to autonomous driving, you can see how this relates to Tesla and their quote ChatGPT moment. So Tesla has been working on this for almost a decade at this point. I think it was 2015 when they split from Mobileye. Maybe it was 2016. I'm getting the dates a little bit confused. But anyway, we're looking at 8 or 9 years that Tesla has been working on this. And of course, those of us in the know, people like me who drive it all the time and a lot of other people in the Tesla space, we're like, holy crap, FSD is amazing. Autonomous driving is coming. It's coming. Elon Musk has been saying it's coming. It's coming. It hasn't gotten here yet, but it's getting really, really close with full self-driving 12. But what hasn't clicked yet is that public awakening and awareness of full self-driving or autonomous driving from anyone. Recently, I've taken up pickleball with the family, and keeping up with my kids means it's even more important than ever to be intentional about feeling healthy and young. That's where AG1, today's sponsor, comes in. AG1 is foundational nutrition that helps me maintain a healthy lifestyle and to keep doing what I love to do, including fun times on the court. Between cutting out processed sugar and drinking AG1 daily, I can honestly say I feel years younger. I've lost weight, my joints don't ache, and I have so much more energy than I did before, which is great for daily activities, not to mention special events. AG1 is foundational nutrition that provides your body with what you might be missing. AG1 is a science-driven formulation of 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and adaptogens. AG1 gives you the foundational nutrition your body craves, and the probiotics and prebiotics help keep my digestive system staying regular no matter what I throw at it. AG1 is constantly putting their formula to the test. AG1 is backed by multiple research studies, and the results are amazing. In just 30 days, 97% of participants in one research study said they had more energy, and at 60 days, 82% of participants in a research study said they felt less stressed. AG1 is science-based nutrition to help you get the most out of your day every day. So be sure to go to drinkag1.com/Dr. Know-It-All to get your free welcome kit that includes a canister, a shaker, a year's supply of vitamin D3 and K2, and 5 extra travel packs of AG1. This and your choice of daily activity will be the best thing you can do to better your health. Thanks again to AG1 for sponsoring today's video, and thank you for watching. Be sure to click my link to get your free welcome kit, and now let's get back to it. So what is missing? If we use OpenAI as an analogy, and you have to be careful with analogies, right? You should do first principles thinking, but I think this is useful. OpenAI was a research lab. They thought of themselves as doing research. They thought of themselves as not for profit. That the big thing about them now is that they're for profit and they make shiny toys, and Microsoft has invested billions in them and all of that kind of stuff. But at the time, at least, they kind of were thinking more like a research arm, and they were like, look at this cool thing that we got. And, as a researcher, a lot of times you want to publish that. You're like, hey, check out this amazing new tech that I figured out how to do. May not run perfectly or something, but I want to share it with everyone. So that's what they did. But as opposed to the previous releases they'd done, it crossed a bar of being just good enough, of being at the right time. Maybe it was just the fact that it was like Thanksgiving weekend and stuff and people were bored and sitting around. But whatever it was, there was that spark, and there's some magic involved in all of this stuff. So Tesla can try all they want to have this ChatGPT moment, but they can't guarantee anything. But the logical prediction is at some point the software will get good enough that people broadly will understand how good it is. And that will be the ChatGPT moment. That's why it hasn't happened yet. If you're talking about a few 100,000 people who drive the car regularly and use full self-driving, yeah, we're all like adamant about the fact that it's amazing. It drives me all over the place all the time. But that's not hundreds of millions to billions of people. So when is that ChatGPT moment likely to happen? The front runner is obviously the Cybercab announcement on August 8th. That will be in Texas, in Fremont. We don't know at this point, as far as I know. But when they do announce this, if they're able to give rides and really, really show off the technology at that point, there is a chance that it will bridge that gap and the public will become, really aware of this technology. However, I don't really think that'll be the moment. The issue right now is that not enough people can experience full self-driving. You can't get that magical 100 million subscribers, people using the ChatGPT thing transferred over to Teslas because you just can't get that many cars out there. They literally don't have that many cars on the road at this point. So how do you get to that moment, that public awareness, that, critical mass of people knowing about your technology? Well, this is where China comes in. Brian from Next Big Future recently did a discussion with Randy Kirk. I will leave a link in the description where he discusses his thoughts about the recent announcements between Elon Musk and Tesla and Baidu about them potentially working together. And he further goes on to talk about a lot of things that I didn't know about. There are around 800 cities in China, which is pretty amazing, large cities with over 100,000 people in it. And within the next couple of years, most of those cities will be allowed to have autonomous driving in them. So think about that versus the United States. At this point in the US, you have San Francisco, you have Los Angeles, you have Austin, and I think Phoenix, right? I think there's only 4 cities that really allow autonomous driving right now. So it's a very, very small niche market. And of course, you've got Waymo and the like, and they have their cars that do geofence driving and all that stuff. Really cool, but it uses LiDAR. They drive on the rails. It's not very scalable. You guys have all heard about all this stuff. But in China, there are not just a couple of companies doing this. There are actually like 6 or 8 or, maybe even more than that. There are a lot of companies doing this with thousands of robotaxi cars on the road right now. Now, again, they all use radar and LiDAR and a bunch of different things, and they have people sitting remotely driving the car with joysticks if the car gets into trouble, things like that. So one can argue they're not really, really autonomous, but the big thing here is that this sets the stage. China is way more forward in terms of thinking about people using autonomy on a daily basis, and the Chinese customer is going to be used to that by the time that Tesla gets into this. And that's why I believe Elon Musk went to China directly. He wanted to talk to these people. He wanted to set things up so that Tesla could be a player in the autonomous vehicle space in China, because that's where the magic is happening. That's where the most forward-thinking government, and I know it's a fascist government, so I hate to say that, but in terms of electric vehicles, in terms of autonomous mobility, things like that, renewable energy sources, all of this stuff, they are the most forward-thinking, and because it's fascist, they can make whatever they want happen. They don't have to wrangle with a problematic multi-party system and all the governmental problems. So all the shortcomings of fascist governments, yes, but on the positive end of things, if they want to do autonomous vehicles, if they want to do EVs, they can make it happen. And with regulatory approval in China within the next couple of years for autonomous vehicles in pretty much every city, they are clearly going to be the front runner, and Tesla wants to play in that game. So my prediction is that the ChatGPT moment will actually come in China when people actually get a chance to ride in Tesla's autonomous vehicles versus these other ones that are festooned with all sorts of LiDAR and all sorts of bells and whistles and things like that. They get into a Tesla, it's just like a car that they could buy themselves. It doesn't need the remote operator to take over hardly at all, and it just works, and it can be scaled out. Remember, these other vehicles are harder to produce because they have so many things on them bolted on. I think the robotaxis actually have 8 LiDAR units and a bunch of cameras and radar and all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of crazy to have to build these things. And so there's only a few thousand of them, but with Tesla, they've got millions on the road already in China. And that means that if they want to, they can flip a switch and they can make those things into that robotaxi network immediately, utilizing the customers' cars. And of course, they can also put their cybercab on the road as well after it's announced in August. And of course, the beauty of the end-to-end training and end-to-end network is it transfers from one locality to another. So even though it's primarily been trained in North America, it can transfer to China relatively easily with, data. They need data and fine tuning and all that kind of stuff, but you can do that much more quickly than training the foundational model. So that means that Tesla can go into that space, learn how to drive relatively quickly, autonomously, and they have very, very friendly regulators who will allow them to go out into the public and allow these vehicles to drive around and to actually, take fares, to have people actually ride in them and pay for them. And of course, China is home to close to 1 billion people. So if you want 100 million people to be able to experience autonomous driving, what better combination do you have than a government that is very, very friendly to EVs and autonomy, plus a country that is absolutely huge? So my prediction is after August 8th, because they're not going to do anything before that, they don't want to spoil the surprise, but after August 8th, Tesla will probably move as quickly as they can to have autonomous vehicle rides in China. Now, is that going to take them a month? No, it's probably going to be more like 6 months or 8 months or maybe even a year or something. But once they do that and once the Chinese population experiences this, they will have that ChatGPT moment, and then that will probably go viral and spread to the rest of the world. And suddenly you will see people around the rest of the world in Europe, the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, wherever. You'll see people all over the place suddenly go like, holy crap, this is amazing. And so my prediction is that moment, that public awareness moment of how great the AI is in Tesla's autonomous driving solution, that moment is going to happen 6, 8, 12 months from now, something like that. And it's probably going to start in China instead of the United States. So those are my thoughts on the topic. What do you think? If you disagree with me or agree with me, let me know in the comments. While you're down there, if you don't mind liking and subscribing, it really, really helps out the channel. And finally, a big thanks once again to AG1 for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check out my link in the description to get your welcome kit, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.